If you're getting ready to jump into World of Warcraft, Midnight, there's one thing you should know. No matter how many guides you watch, no matter how many beta videos you see, or how many years you've spent playing World of Warcraft, there are always things you only realize after you've already invested dozens of hours into a new expansion. They're not necessarily mistakes. They're the little lessons that make you stop and think, I really wish someone had told me this before I started. Some of them will save you time. Some will save you gold. Some will help you avoid frustration. And others will simply help you enjoy the expansion much more from day one. Whether you're a returning veteran, a classic player trying retail again, or someone completely new to World of Warcraft, this video is for you. Today we're covering 25 things I wish I knew before playing WoW, Midnight. Some of these are based on lessons that apply to every modern WoW expansion, while others reflect the systems and direction Blizzard has already shared for Midnight. As the expansion evolves, details may change, but these core ideas will help you get off to a much stronger start. Let's begin. Thing number 1. Don't rush just because everyone else is. The first few days of a new WoW expansion always feel like a race. Your friends are leveling. Streamers are already talking about endgame. Guilds are preparing for raids. Social media fills up with screenshots of players reaching the level cap in record time. It's incredibly easy to feel like you're already falling behind. But here's something many experienced players eventually learn. There is no prize for reaching max level 6 hours before everyone else if you didn't enjoy the journey. The beginning of an expansion is one of the most exciting parts. Everyone is exploring. Nobody knows every shortcut. The economy is constantly changing. Communities are discovering secrets together. Take time to enjoy that feeling. You'll only experience a brand new expansion for the first time once. Speaking of rushing, here's another lesson that saves a lot of frustration. Thing number 2. Your main character doesn't have to be perfect. One of the biggest decisions before every expansion is choosing your main. Players spend weeks reading class rankings, watching tier lists, comparing damage numbers, trying to predict what Blizzard will buff or nerf. The truth is, balance changes happen throughout every expansion. The strongest class today might not be the strongest class a few months from now. Instead of chasing the current meta, choose a class that you genuinely enjoy playing. A class that feels fun will keep you logging in long after tier lists have changed. Enjoyment lasts longer than temporary balance. Now here's something almost every returning player experiences. Thing number 3. Things change faster than you expect. If you've been away from retail for a while, don't expect everything to feel exactly the same. Every expansion introduces system updates, class adjustments, interface improvements, and quality of life changes. Trying to play exactly the way you did years ago can actually slow you down. Approach Midnight with an open mind. Read your abilities again. Explore the updated systems. Take a few minutes to understand what's changed. You'll adapt much faster if you treat the expansion as a fresh experience instead of trying to recreate the past. Now let's talk about something that catches many players by surprise. Thing number 4. Gold matters more than you think. When a new expansion launches, many players focus only on leveling. But your gold can quietly become one of your most valuable resources. Crafting materials, profession items, consumables, mount-related expenses, auction house opportunities. Everything begins moving quickly during launch. That doesn't mean you should hoard every coin. It simply means you should think before making expensive purchases during the first few days. Prices are often at their most unpredictable early in an expansion. A little patience can save a surprising amount of gold. Here's another lesson I wish more players understood before launch. Thing number 5. Read new talent choices carefully. One of the easiest mistakes to make is assuming your class still plays exactly like it did before. Even small talent changes can completely alter your rotation. An ability you've ignored for years might suddenly become essential. A familiar playstyle might no longer be the most effective. Spend time reading your talents instead of immediately copying someone else's build. Understanding why your talents work is much more valuable than simply copying them. Now here's something that's easy to forget during expansion launches. Thing number 6. The story is worth experiencing. Many players skip quest text, skip cutscenes, skip dialogue, skip everything that isn't giving experience points. A few weeks later, they're watching lore videos because they have no idea what actually happened. World of Warcraft expansions usually tell their story through quests, characters, and world events. If you enjoy Warcraft lore, don't rush past those moments. Even slowing down for a few minutes during major story quests can make the entire expansion feel much more memorable. Now let's move on to something that many players underestimate. Thing number 7. Your professions can shape your entire expansion. Professions are often treated as something players worry about later, but they can influence your entire journey. They affect your economy, your crafting opportunities, your self-sufficiency, sometimes even your long-term goals. Whether you choose gathering professions for steady income or crafting professions to create useful items, making a thoughtful decision early can save you a lot of time later. Don't ignore professions just because you're focused on leveling. And finally, let's end this first part with one of the biggest lessons every WoW player eventually learns. Thing number 8. Don't compare your progress to everyone else. This might be the most important advice in the entire video. Someone will always level faster. Someone will always have better gear. Someone will always make more gold. Someone will always finish content before you. If you spend the entire expansion comparing yourself to everyone else, you'll never feel like you're making progress. Instead, compare yourself to yesterday. Did you learn something? Did you improve your rotation? Did you finish a difficult quest? Did you understand your class better? Those are the kinds of improvements that actually matter. World of Warcraft has always been at its best when you focus on your own adventure instead of someone else's. Those were the first 8 things I wish I knew before playing WoW, Midnight. In the next part, we'll cover even more lessons, including mistakes players make during the first week, smarter progression habits, and several tips that can save you both time and gold as you continue your journey through Azeroth. Welcome back. The first 8 lessons were mostly about your mindset before starting the expansion. Now let's move on to the things that usually don't become obvious until you've already spent several days playing. These are the kinds of lessons that make experienced players say, "I wish I had done that differently." Let's continue. Thing number 9. Your first week sets the tone for the entire expansion. The launch week of a WoW expansion is unlike anything else. Everyone is discovering the world together. Guilds are recruiting. The economy changes by the hour. Players are figuring out class builds. Content creators are publishing new guides almost every day. It can feel overwhelming. Instead of trying to do everything at once, focus on building a solid foundation. Complete the campaign. Learn your class. Get familiar with the new zones. Understand the major systems before worrying about perfect optimization. The first week isn't about finishing everything. It's about setting yourself up for everything that comes next. Now here's something that catches almost every returning player. Thing number 10. Your UI matters more than ever. One of the easiest things to ignore is your interface. Many players log in with the same UI they've used for years. But a new expansion often introduces new abilities, mechanics, and information to track. Take a few minutes to organize your action bars. Move important cooldowns somewhere visible. Adjust your minimap. Clean up unnecessary clutter. A comfortable interface reduces mistakes, helps you react faster, and simply makes the game more enjoyable. It might not be the most exciting preparation, but it's one of the most valuable. Here's another lesson that veteran players learn every expansion. Thing number 11. Don't spend all your gold immediately. When a new expansion launches, the auction house becomes incredibly active. Everyone wants better gear, rare crafting materials, profession items, consumables. It's tempting to buy upgrades the moment you can afford them. But early expansion prices are often inflated because demand is much higher than supply. Sometimes waiting a few days, or even a couple of weeks, can save you a significant amount of gold. Not every upgrade needs to happen immediately. Smart spending often beats fast spending. Now let's talk about something players often underestimate. Thing number 12. Blizzard will keep adjusting classes. Every expansion launches with balance changes. Then more changes follow. Some classes receive buffs. Others receive nerfs. Talent trees evolve. Certain builds become stronger while others fall behind. This is completely normal. Don't panic every time a patch note appears. If you're constantly re-rolling every time the meta shifts, you'll spend more time starting over than actually enjoying the game. Learning your class usually provides more value than chasing every balance update. Now here's one that many players don't realize until later. Thing number 13. Small daily progress adds up faster than you think. A lot of players believe they need massive gaming sessions to stay competitive. But expansions are marathons, not sprints. Completing a few meaningful objectives each day often leads to better long-term progress than trying to do everything in one weekend. Consistency beats intensity. Logging in with a plan, completing your goals, and logging out satisfied is usually more productive than playing for 10 hours without direction. Small progress compounds surprisingly quickly. Here's another lesson that's easy to overlook. Thing number 14. Learn the new zones instead of memorizing them. It's tempting to follow arrows on the map without paying attention to your surroundings. But taking the time to understand how the zones connect, where important NPCs are located, and how travel works will save you countless hours throughout the expansion. At first, every area feels unfamiliar. Eventually, those places become second nature. The players who understand the world move through it much more efficiently than those who simply follow quest markers. Knowledge becomes its own shortcut. Now let's discuss something that's especially important in a new expansion. Thing number 15. Your guild matters more than you think. World of Warcraft has always been more enjoyable with a good community. A helpful guild can answer questions, organize group content, share useful advice, and make even routine activities more enjoyable. Don't wait until endgame to start looking for people you enjoy playing with. The relationships you build during the first few weeks often last throughout the entire expansion. Finding the right group can completely change your experience. We're getting closer to the end of this section, and here's one lesson I wish every new player understood. Thing number 16. You don't need every guide. It's perfectly normal to watch guides before starting a new expansion, but don't feel like you need to consume every video and read every article before you begin. Part of the magic of a new expansion is discovering things yourself. Finding a hidden area, learning a class interaction, exploring a zone without already knowing every quest. Guides should enhance your adventure, not replace it. Leave yourself room to be surprised. And finally, let's finish this section with one of the most valuable lessons on the list. Thing number 17. Have a goal, but stay flexible. Before a new expansion launches, many players create huge checklists. Reach max level, unlock every system, max out professions, earn specific achievements, farm certain gear. Goals are great, but don't let them stop you from enjoying unexpected opportunities. Maybe you'll discover a profession you love. Maybe you'll become interested in PvP. Maybe you'll find a group of friends who want to run dungeons together. Some of the best experiences in World of Warcraft aren't the ones you planned. They're the ones you never expected. Stay flexible. The expansion will almost certainly surprise you. We've now covered 17 things I wish I knew before playing WoW, Midnight. But the final 8 are perhaps the most important of all. They're the lessons that determine whether you'll still be enjoying the expansion months after launch, or whether you'll burn out after the initial excitement fades. And the final point might completely change the way you think about playing a new World of Warcraft expansion. We've finally reached the last part of the video. By now, you've probably noticed that none of these lessons are about secret exploits or hidden shortcuts. Instead, they're the kinds of things players naturally learn after spending weeks, or even months, in a new expansion. If you can learn them before you start, you'll save yourself a lot of time and enjoy Midnight much more from day one. Let's finish the list. Thing number 18. Don't ignore world content. When most players think about endgame, they immediately picture Mythic Plus, raids, or PvP. Those activities are incredibly important, but they aren't the only parts of the expansion. World content often offers reputation, cosmetics, achievements, story progression, collectibles, and other rewards that can remain valuable throughout the expansion. Many players ignore these activities early, only to realize later that they have a lot of catching up to do. Even if your main focus is high-end content, it's worth spending some time exploring what the open world has to offer. Now here's something almost every veteran player eventually realizes. Thing number 19. The expansion will change over time. No expansion stays exactly the way it launches. New patches arrive. Balance changes happen. Additional story chapters are released. New raids open. Seasonal content begins. Professions evolve. The economy shifts. If something isn't perfect during the first week, don't assume it'll stay that way forever. Blizzard continually updates modern expansions, So be prepared to adapt instead of expecting everything to remain static. Flexibility is one of the most valuable skills you can have. Let's move on to one of the biggest mistakes players make. Thing number 20, don't burn yourself out in the first month. Launch excitement is real. It's easy to play for 10 or 12 hours every day during the first week. For some players, that's part of the fun. But many people eventually realize they've turned their favorite game into a checklist. Instead of looking forward to logging in, they begin feeling like they have to. That's when burnout starts. Remember that Midnight is designed to be an expansion you'll experience over months, not just a single weekend. Take breaks when you need them. Play because you're excited, not because you feel obligated. You'll enjoy the expansion much longer if you pace yourself. Here's another lesson that many players overlook. Thing number 21. Your reputation is more important than you think. World of Warcraft has always been a social game. People remember players who are helpful. People remember players who stay calm during difficult dungeon runs. People remember players who communicate well. Likewise, they also remember players who constantly blame others or create unnecessary drama. Building a positive reputation can open doors to better guilds, reliable dungeon groups, and lasting friendships. Good gear gets replaced. A good reputation often lasts the entire expansion. Now here's something that took many players years to understand. Thing number 22. Not every reward has to increase your power. It's easy to judge every activity by one question. Will this make my character stronger? But World of Warcraft has always been about more than item level. Mounts, transmogs, achievements, pets, titles, lore, exploration. Some of the most memorable rewards in the game don't increase your damage at all. They simply make your journey more enjoyable. Don't overlook those moments just because they don't appear on a damage meter. We're almost at the end, and this next lesson is one of the most important. Thing number 23. The community will discover things Blizzard never explains. No matter how many tooltips Blizzard writes, no matter how many official articles they publish, players will always discover things the developers never explicitly explain. New class interactions, efficient farming routes, creative profession strategies, hidden collectibles, unexpected mechanics. One of the most exciting parts of every expansion is watching the community work together to uncover those discoveries. Stay curious. Some of the best information you'll learn won't come from the game itself. It'll come from other players experimenting. Now for one of my favorite lessons. Thing number 24. Your first character is just the beginning. Many players put enormous pressure on choosing the perfect main. They worry about making the wrong decision before the expansion even begins. But remember, your first character doesn't have to experience everything. Eventually, many players create alts. They try different classes, different roles, different professions, different playstyles. Your first character introduces you to the expansion. It doesn't have to define your entire experience. Don't let fear of making the wrong choice stop you from getting started. And finally, the last thing I wish I knew before playing WoW, Midnight. Thing number 25. Enjoy the expansion before you try to master it. Every expansion only launches once. The first time you enter a new zone, the first dungeon, the first major story moment, the first time you hear the new soundtrack while exploring unfamiliar lands. Those moments can't be recreated. Eventually, guides will explain every system. Optimal routes will be mapped. Best-in-slot gear lists will be complete. Every class will have detailed build guides. But during those first few weeks, everyone is discovering the world together. That's something special. Don't rush past it. Enjoy being surprised. Enjoy making mistakes. Enjoy not knowing every answer. Because before long, Midnight won't be new anymore. And you'll probably wish you could experience that feeling one more time. So those were 25 things I wish I knew before playing WoW, Midnight. Whether you're a long-time World of Warcraft veteran or someone returning after years away, I hope these tips help you start the expansion with the right mindset. Remember, the goal isn't to rush through every piece of content as quickly as possible. It's to enjoy the journey, learn your class, explore the new world, and experience everything Midnight has to offer at your own pace. Now I want to hear from you. What's one thing you wish you had known before starting a new WoW expansion? Maybe it saved you hours of frustration, or maybe it was a mistake you'll never make again. Share it in the comments so other players can learn from your experience. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more WoW Midnight guides, beginner tips, class breakdowns, leveling advice, lore videos, and expansion updates. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck on your journey through Azeroth, and I'll see you in the next video.